All right. IMDB Watchlist number one. And what a way to kick it off. Take Shelter was written and directed by Jeff Nichols and stars Michael Shannon, Jessica Chastain, and Shea Wiggum. I'm probably not pronouncing that last one right. Shea Wiggum is one of those actors that you've probably seen in other movies, but you just don't know what his name is. Take Shelter follows a man named Curtis who has a wife and a deaf daughter, and he is part of a close-knit community. He begins to have terrifying and apocalyptic nightmares that he feels like will signify a huge storm coming or some kind of ultimate horrifying disaster. However, he is pretty reluctant to go see anybody about this, and he's especially reluctant to tell anybody that is close to him, particularly his wife. And the tension that plays out in his marriage and in his community and definitely within himself is nothing less than catastrophic. Now we have our movie. It's funny because one of the first impressions that I had of this movie was that it's a lot like The Quiet Place. In fact, I wouldn't be too surprised if Jim from The Office saw this movie for inspiration. From beginning to end, the atmosphere in this movie is nothing less than dreary. The color palette is really bleak and boring. The overall tone is one of dread. The music has this very impressionistic, kind of minimalist style to it, kind of like what you would see in your average David Fincher film. The defining adjective of this movie is intrigue. As soon as you started and basically throughout the entire duration of the film, you're wondering what exactly is going on. And that kind of intrigue is carried almost entirely on his shoulders by the great actor Michael Shannon. This guy is unbelievable. I haven't seen him in too many films. I've seen him in The Shape of Water, but that's about it. But I think one of the reasons why he has gotten so much work and continues to get work is almost exclusively because of this man's eyes. Michael Shannon is able to communicate so much emotion just from his face. I would not be surprised at all if he was a theater actor before this, or if he had a lot of training as a Shakespearean actor or maybe on stage. But this deep set look in his eyes, he just has this incredible talent of being able to communicate any kind of emotion he wants just through a single look. There's a scene where he is fighting with this other character, and the subtlety is just amazing. It's exactly how somebody would react if there was an unwelcome visitor bothering them. I also love in a movie when the main lead or the main protagonist has been having a lot dumped on him, just tragedy after tragedy, trial after trial, and then they suddenly snap. And trust me, there is that kind of scene in this movie, and it is so satisfying. And if there was any other actor doing it besides Michael Shannon, it probably wouldn't have had the same amount of power. I have to give a lot of credit to Jessica Chastain as well. Her performance was spectacular. She also ran the gamut of pretty much every single emotion that you could think of. That's probably one reason why I myself would not be a very good actor, is that when I see great actors doing their thing, usually they have this ability to cry. I don't know how they do that. I don't know, if they need a lot of takes or if they need to go to a really dark place to do it. But both Michael Shannon and especially Jessica Chastain in this film are pretty darn good at crying. Do you ever find the acting to be so convincing in a particular film that you yourself begin to react to whatever the actor says? Is it just me? What I mean by that is that an actor might say a phrase or just say a line, and you vicariously put yourself in the other actor's position, and you actually reply in the same manner and the same style that you think the actor would. Perhaps that's just me. Maybe you guys who are more normal out there never do that, but let me know if you do. I heard a few complaints about the editing of this film. I really don't know why. I think the editing was one of the strongest suits of the entire movie. Editing is crucial to the pace of a film. In fact, I would say that it is the number one thing that dictates the pace of a film. The editing here was slow when it had to be, it was fast when it needed to be, it cut away when it had to, it lingered when it had to. There were some pretty cool transitions as well. I don't think directors or editors take advantage enough of the medium of film and how you can go from one scene to the next and kind of blend the two together without using, like a Star Wars swipe or something like that. So a few nitpicky things about the film. There's a scene where a dog attacks a character and he bites him on the right arm. Now, I know this is, probably hardly worth noticing to most people, but it's just something that I personally noticed, is that it kind of took me out of the scene because I know that dogs are trained when they attack people. I know that they're trained to bite them on the arm. If the dog had maybe attacked his face, which, sounds a little more dire, but at least it'd be more convincing, I would be more convinced. But since he attacked his right arm, I was like, okay, I know it's definitely a stunt dog and, whatever. But like I said, small detail. If I didn't mention this before, the daughter is deaf. And when the parents sign to her, they speak out loud exactly what they're saying. Now, I don't feel like that's entirely realistic. And kind of to go back to A Quiet Place, if they had put subtitles on the bottom, I think it would have added to the immersion. It would have made the viewer a little more convinced what was going on. This is definitely a head scratcher of an ending. Okay, if you're watching with some friends, be sure that you're ready to have a discussion at the end. The movie pulls no punches. It's not a feel-good movie. Some people might complain that it's slow-paced. I did not feel that at all. I was immediately sucked in from the beginning, and I just found myself leaning closer and closer to the screen as the film continued. Definitely check this out if you're a fan of thrillers, or more so if you're a fan of intellectual thrillers. And I'm going to give this one a solid 8.8 out of 10. So what's the most intriguing movie you've ever seen? What's the one that gave you a real feeling of creepiness? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next cinematic adventure.